All right. We've got
Righty.
some attendees filter in here.
Yes, hello everybody. Thank you for joining the first Skills Kickstarter of the season. Our presentation today is going to be on Paylink features and focus with our presenter Andrew Pineda. We're going to go ahead and get started here in just a moment to give some other attendees a few minutes to get in, get settled. So while we kind of wait for them, during this presentation, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to use the Q&A feature or the chat, and we'd be happy to answer those along the way. Again, we are going to give it here just a minute, maybe 30 seconds, let some more people trickle in, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
Thank you, Alex. You're such a gracious host.
Alrighty. And it looks like we got quite a few people in here, and I don't want to waste anybody's time, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. Again, for all of you who just joined, this is the first Skills Kickstart session of the season with our presenter, Andrew Pineda, presenting on Paylink features and focus. So with that, let's go ahead and take it away, Andrew.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. Appreciate the introductions. Yeah, so we got a lot of content today, so I'll skip over the introductions real quickly. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the Senior Product Manager here for Paylink. My name is Andrew Panetta. So yeah, let's get going. We've got a big agenda today, lots of things to review. So excited to have you all here. Excited to be able to kick off the Skills Kickstart for the year. All right, so we're going to go over just a quick little Paylink review of 2024. So I always like to start these presentations with some stats. So for those of you who've maybe been following Paylink for a few years, you can kind of see where we've been and a little bit of where we're going as well. So we'll kind of go through that pretty quickly. And then really what I want to focus the meat of our presentation on is key features kind of around user groups. So we've done a lot of updates in the last year. And I wanted to break these out around what are the updates that we've done for your sales and delivery teams. So for those teams that are out in the field, talking with your customers, collecting payments, all that good stuff. What we've done around those of you who are working in the office, so the accounts receivable and office staff, some of the tools we put together, some of the new updates. So you'll see a good amount of updates we put together last year there. And then updates for your customers, so retailers who are using Paylink to pay. A little bit of what we put together there as well. And so along the way, you'll see kind of a slide for Paylink in action. So really wanted to make this a little more interactive and not just have you take a look at a slide deck the whole time. We'll be doing some demos and taking a look at some of these features, actually how they work and in action. So hopefully that's something that you can take back either for yourself in your daily job or those on your staff who might be doing some of these workflows. So hopefully everyone will enjoy that piece. And then we'll end with some key takeaways and hoping we'll have some time for some questions as well. Like I said, we'll move pretty quick because there's a lot of content to cover. It was a busy year in 2024 for Paylink. So perfect segue into the numbers for Paylink. So kind of a banner year once again for Paylink. I think every single year, probably I've been saying this for those of you who've been tracking it, but we processed $1.4 billion of volume in transactions, which was our largest ever. Really excited to see that big number. We hit that 1 billion even before the beginning of Q4, which is exciting for us to see as well. Along with that, we processed 1.3 million transactions. So once again, another record number there. We added 65 new merchant accounts. Some of these came from kind of net new Paylink customers, distributors who hadn't used us before. But we also had a good amount of expansion and growth within our existing base with customers taking on kind of new companies and new ventures into different product lines that I know a lot of you out in the industry are probably aware of some of those things. So exciting also to see kind of that organic growth within our customers and being here to help you guys grow as well. And then finally, we added about 52,000 new retail connections. So that's retailers connecting to perhaps one distributor or even multiple distributors. So really excited to see that the network grow as well and continue to kind of have more and more retailers using the product. All right, so that's kind of the stats for 2024. Let's move now into sales and delivery. So kind of want to set this up and segue here and talk about how your teams out in the field are able to utilize Paylink and some of the features, once again, that we put together that allow them to collect payment more easily. So with that, hopefully a lot of you know at this point that the goal of what we've done and embedded with paylink is trying to get that mobile functionality to feel seamless, to be in places where reps are kind of in their daily workflows already, being able to collect those payments through Encompass Mobile. So the big thing that you probably saw last year, but I always like to tout because I'm really excited about the functionality we added is that new tap to pay functionality. So for those of you who are in jurisdictions and states that allow for payments by credit card, this is functionality that you're able to use directly within Paylink. It doesn't require any sort of additional hardware or setup really. Really, the only setup is within your iPhone if you're using an Apple device. Is just kind of enabling that tap to pay functionality the first time you go to use it. So that's kind of the newest and the banner feature, I will say, coming out of last year. But we still have kind of the other feature set too that we've added and kind of grown over the years, being able to text or send email links, and being able to generate QR codes or add those to mobile delivery invoices or even on the server side. We'll look at that a little bit when we look at kind of the demo section here. The whole goal of this is to make sure that folks are aware of kind of what is the outstanding balances and open balances for an account, and also seeing any sort of credits or any sort of kind of latest updates to AR to kind of keep that all clean for the folks back in the office. I know the office staff really appreciates having that AR cleaned up, right? And I'm sure that your retail partners do as well. So we'll dive into some of these pieces as we go through, but kind of just giving a little bit of overview of what we've done. So those mobile receipts and invoices, right? This is something that we actually do have a skills kickstart around kind of your mobile invoices and templates. So if that's something you're interested in, or once you kind of get off of this webinar, if this is something you're interested in adding on, please take a look at that. That'll definitely help you with a little more in-depth, rather what I'm going to go through. I'm going to go through something pretty darn quick, as like I said, we have some short time. But customers can scan these QR codes kind of at any time. They're able to be added to your mobile printed invoices, your server invoices, as well as your statements. And I think the statements is one that people maybe forget about and don't necessarily think about. But if you're mailing statements, or even if just folks are getting an email statement and printing off that PDF, they're able to scan that QR code and pay the invoices on their statement as well. So we'll walk through this here in the demo as well. So with that, yeah, let's run into the demo here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over a tab here in a moment. Oops, let me go back. So I'll have Alex confirm here in just a second that you're able to see kind of the mobile view.
Yep, we see it.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I pay him handsomely, as you can probably tell, to make sure he's helping here. So within Encompass Mobile, we're going through a few different workflows. The first one I want to showcase a little bit is for kind of delivery folks, as well as your sales team, and how they can access Paylink payment requests within My Day. So if I go into My Day, kind of see my delivery plan for the day. When you're going into those different accounts to visit them, some people will usually check this before they go into the account, right? Kind of do a pre-check on the account. Couple things that you'll see. One, you'll make sure to see the license if it's expired or not. So test data always is fun to see. A couple things you will see. You'll see those kind of pills that we added. This was not last year, but in a previous update, where you can see if DSD Link is available, if Paylink is available or in use. So when it's highlighted or kind of filled in here, your Paylink is in use for this customer, meaning they have a term that allows for payment through Paylink. So that's just a quick, easy way for your folks to see right in that account information that this customer can pay with Paylink. If they tap or click on this icon, it'll actually take them into that dashboard you were seeing previously on the slide. So they're able to see what are the outstanding balances for this account, including credits, as you can see here. And then they're able to use one of these options below to request payment. So be that tap to pay functionality like I was talking about, be that generating a QR code for the retailer to scan with their own mobile device, or just an email or texted link. So this is something that I really like to tout that folks can use, even if they're not within the customer physically at the time, right? So a lot of times reps will be out and about driving their routes and get a call from a customer or a text that says, hey, I need to get my order for today. I know I need to pay. Can you come pick up a check real quick? So instead of having the rep go out of their way to pick up a check from a customer that might not even be on today's route, they can just email them a link directly from Encompass Mobile. So this mobile dashboard can also be accessed from just the customer's dashboard as well. Same kind of workflow there, where they can go in, find the customer, click on paylink payment request, and they're able to send that right then and there as well. So if I back out of this real quick, we're also going to go into the delivery invoice, which this is another functionality that we did last year and kind of added. So if I go into my normal delivery invoice, like I'm a driver, I'm delivering this invoice. I just tap into the invoice I'm delivering. Obviously, they'll go through their kind of normal workflows of being able to print off the mobile invoice, get the signature, all that good stuff. But right here on this invoice total screen where they're normally capturing payment, we added in this request paylink payment button. So this is going to link them to that exact same dashboard. So as I click on this, you'll see we're also uploading that handheld in this live invoice data. So if they've made changes to the invoice, like they made some cuts or they had to add some product or what have you, we're uploading that invoice data right then and there so that when they're in this screen, once again, this is live data we're pulling down from the server. So kind of caveat or piece that I want to add to this as well is that this does require a mobile data connection or a Wi-Fi connection of some sort. Because we're always pulling that live, and especially around that like tap to pay functionality, that's a payment that's being processed right there in person live as well. So when they get into this screen, they're going to see that invoice that they're delivering and be able to collect payment for it. So once again, just another place we put in this functionality to allow folks to, within their normal daily workflows, be able to request payment. So as long as this customer is eligible to pay invoices through Paylink, meaning that they've got some of those paylink payment types associated to their term, the button is going to show here. For other customers that you might have paying you through EDI, like your 7-Elevens, you won't have those terms assigned, so that the user won't see this button here. So we really tried to make it very clear when they can request payment through Paylink and when maybe it's just a customer, like I said, like on EDI or another payment provider that they need to request through. We don't show that button there. All right.
And Andrew, we did get a question come in real quickly. So if they are in a COD state, do the
Yeah.
options kind of change at all if they're just doing ACH payments and not really credit cards?
Sure, that's a great question. Yeah. So the options that you see there on the screen don't necessarily change, meaning you can still text a link, email a link. You might not see the tap to pay button. So that is maybe one option that I will say will change because that is a credit card payment directly or somebody paying with like Google Pay or Apple Pay from their device. So the only thing that really changes is that when we email that link or text them or the retailer scans the QR code, the only option they're going to see to pay with is their bank account or an ACH payment. So those options kind of just show based on what payment types you have associated to the term. And you have that flexibility within Paylink to allow certain customers to pay via ACH only or other customers to pay with ACH and card. There are instances kind of in those COD states where you could potentially take a card for like non-alcohol invoices. So as long as the terms are kind of properly set with your split invoices, they might see that option when they're paying a non-alcohol invoice, they'll be able to pay by card versus a beer or an alcohol invoice, they won't be able to. So great question.
Great, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. All right, I'm going to flip back over to the presentation here and let's go through a couple things on invoices and templates. So I'm going to pull up an invoice real quick here. Make sure I get logged in as well. So this invoice, I'm going to show you just real quick how you can print off that QR code. So this is something, once again, that you're going to set up in the template, which we'll walk through as well. So if I print off a copy of this invoice, you'll see on the invoice itself, I've added that Paylink QR code to the PDF so that, I can print this off maybe at the warehouse if this is a hot shot or like a dock sale that's happening. I can print this off, kind of give it to the warehouse staff, right, and tell them, hey, go ahead and collect payment, have the customer scan this when they come in and pay. So you see that kind of scan to pay in this bottom right-hand corner. I'll zoom in a little extra so you can see how nice it looks there, the scan to pay option. So that's available, like I said, on your invoice template. How do you get added to the invoice template? Great question. So if I look at one of my templates that I've got in the database, I can go to that document template, click on this invoice template, which is what I want to edit, and then go into template designer. So once again, another shout out to the skills kickstart that is much more in depth than what I'm going through here. I'm kind of going through the steps pretty quickly. But If you go here into the template, you can see down here in the bottom right, just like we were looking at, I've got this paylink QR code set up. So another piece that I want to make very clear here as well is that the paylink QR code will print on invoices that are eligible to be paid via paylink, and they won't print on others. So even though I'm adding it to the template, if the customer is paying through, like I said, EDI or through another third-party electronic processing option, you won't see this get printed automatically on the receipt. So we've kind of had this set up that it's a smart QR code in the way that it knows which invoices are eligible to be paid via paylink via your term and payment type setup, and that's when it'll print. On others, it just doesn't print. So helps to kind of alleviate any confusion from your customers, right? And they're not asking questions or trying to pay with a method you don't want them to pay with. So you can add this to the server side template if you'd like. You can also add it to the mobile template. And so something I'll make very clear here is it's an and or. You don't have to necessarily do both types of templates if you don't want to. And you don't have to have it on your server template in order for it to print on mobile. They are controlled independently. So here on the mobile side, you saw I clicked that button just to get into Template Designer for mobile. It's just a quick little check mark here. So you check mark this paylink QR code, and then it prints at the very bottom of the receipt with kind of something similar. It's a little, it's not as fancy with the colors and everything like you saw on the server side print, but it just has a scan here to pay QR code that's available. So all I need to do is check that off, save this template, and then it's good to go. So yeah, hopefully that helps give you some quick steps there on how to do that. And yeah, I'll take a quick breather here to get a drink and then also get ready for the next section and see if anyone has questions. Awesome. Nothing yet from what it looks like. So let's shift over and kind of shift gears into the AR and office staff. So some folks that are near and dear to my heart, where I started kind of at Encompass, lots of working in the admin group, in the front offices with lots of our customers. So the AR and office updates that we have out here are pretty extensive, I'll be honest, but we will have some time to go through some demos as well and some questions. So the first thing I want to start off with is the paylink onboarding and settings dashboard. So obviously a lot of you who are with us and using paylink have gone through this dashboard to do your initial setup. But maybe you haven't gone back and revisited it since you enabled paylink and set it up the first time. So what we've really tried to drive over the last year in this dashboard is a lot of that self-service settings and kind of customizability within paylink are controlled through this dashboard. And it is a trend you're going to continue to see even into this year as we add kind of more settings and options to paylink as well. We'll allow you to kind of control those at a global level within this dashboard for each of your accounts that are set up on paylink. So you can get additional information on kind of what your setup looks like. We'll walk through this one a little more in detail, but want to start with this dashboard as it's kind of the first home dashboard within our set of Paylink's dashboards on the server side. The next dashboard you're probably all familiar with as well, but we did a big revamp of this one earlier in the year, kind of through some beta testing and early adoption, and launched it here at the end of the year around the Paylink deposit reconciliation dashboard. So kind of your big one-stop shop to be able to view all your transactions, drill into details to see what invoices have been paid, and be able to kind of troubleshoot any discrepancies that you might have between your bank account and what Paylink is showing. So quick, easy way to kind of look and see how much money has been deposited in your bank account by Paylink each day, and then what makes up that deposit. So we'll drive through some of the updates and options here as well. I'm pretty excited about what we were able to do and update over the last year here. The next dashboard, kind of in those tabs of dashboard, is the Paylink returns dashboard, which is a new one we launched last year as well. The whole goal of this dashboard is really to give you a one-stop shop or one place to look for all of those payments that have been returned or weren't able to be processed. And the whole goal of this dashboard is to kind of work it as almost a checklist, so you understand which invoices are still open and need to be paid. So when you look on this dashboard, you'll see any invoice that has a $0 balance has been kind of repaid once it was reopened is kind of grayed out on that line item. And then anything that still has an open balance or is something that your teams need to kind of take a look at or maybe give some attention to will be kind of white and will show that that there is some money left to be paid. By clicking on the reason for each of those return payments, you can get a little more information around the reasoning, kind of the description or definition of why the invoice was returned or the payment was returned, and then some next steps of what to do. So some of these things like insufficient funds are usually something that's pretty obvious to folks. But a lot of these are very technical bank codes that we get back from the bank itself. So they might be things like debit not authorized or payment stopped or account frozen. So it helps to be able to kind of click on those and get a little more of a layman's term definition of what the issue is and what you should be doing to make sure you're getting paid and what those next steps are. And then we got links and some searching that's available on the dashboard as well. Any return payment stays on this dashboard as kind of a historical record. So you're able to use some of the filtering on there as well to see maybe how many times has a customer come back for insufficient funds in the last 3 months, some of those things. I think I did see a couple of questions pop in, Alex, if it's a good time for us to take a look at those.
Yeah, so I know this one question is going to probably be answered a little bit later, but is there an alert or notice when Paylink has been used to clear an account?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. And we will actually address that one later. If it's the next slide, I mean, it'll look really cool, but I don't think it's the next slide. A little bit of the next slide. So that I didn't plan this, I promise, folks. So alerts, yeah, great segue. Kind of in the status updates and alerts. This is another place we put a lot of emphasis last year as well. So the Paylink blocked account alert is one that I'm kind of calling out and showing an example there. These alerts kind of come when an account has been blocked due to some of those issues that I was talking about earlier. Things like an account is frozen or the details are invalid, or we're getting back that somebody closed their account, right? Obviously, we can't debit their account, right, at that point. So you can get a lot of that data and information within the payment returns dashboard. It shows there, but it also shows within the alert that you can kind of get that initial notice so you're aware, hey, this account has been blocked. We're not necessarily the ones to block that account that comes kind of from the payment provider, but kind of gives you, once again, some next steps, what to do, how to take care of that. We've got some kind of customer facing alerts as well, things that'll automatically remind customers, hey, your invoice is coming up due, or hey, you need to go in and make a payment today because you're overdue. So we'll kind of look at some of the functionality you can do there. And really, one of the pieces we'll do a quick demo of and look at is the alert library as well. This is a quick, easy way to kind of find what are all these alerts that you're talking about, Andrew? How do I set them up and everything? So we'll go into the demo on that as well. All of these alerts and the things that we've kind of built out in the system, as a lot of you know, the goal of what we've done is kind of built in a quick, easy, one-click to pay type of workflow. So the things where we're sending a reminder to make a payment here in 2 days, or your invoice is overdue. A lot of those emails looks like the example you kind of see on the left-hand side, where you get kind of a nice big blue pay button. And the goal there is to give the user some action so they can actually take care of it. So thinking about when you get your notice for your electric bill or your internet, utility bills, you're always getting those notices to go ahead and pay. I don't know about you, but I don't like getting those notices. So I just like to click on it and pay and take care of it at that point. These links are kind of what I would call smart links, meaning that based on the email address that we send those to, we can detect and see if that email address is associated to an active DSD Link account. In that case, we'll take a user to go ahead and log into DSD Link and use like their saved payment method, be that a bank account or a card. If that is a user that email, excuse me, does not have an active DSD Link account, they're not set up with DSD Link with you, we'll take them to kind of the page you see on the right-hand side, which is our guest payment page. I call it the one-time payment page as well. We'll kind of list out the invoices that are being paid, give them some quick links to see the PDF copies from your site, and then give them those options that you allow them to pay with, be that card or ACH as well. So I call this out because we've done some updates here that you'll kind of see later on around the customer and retailer updates. But really, this is the whole goal is to have this kind of streamlined request process where folks are able to click and kind of take care of that payment at the time that you're sending them those alerts and notices. So along with that, obviously AR and automation are two things that go hand in hand, something we've worked on for many years here. And I've been very fortunate to be able to push a lot of these things kind of previous even to Paylink. So we've got things like automated statements that you know about. You've heard me talk about. There is an online help out there and a guide to kind of get started with this. So that's something you can absolutely search in kind of our help resources area within your site. So automated statements, setting those up. You can send out those statements on a monthly, weekly, those different cadences, and they'll include, once again, that link for folks to be able to pay with. And it's all based on those terms once again. So folks who are set up with EDI or other terms won't necessarily see a button to click, whereas folks who you want to be able to pay you through Paylink will. The other big thing we updated around payment requests, you kind of see there in the middle, we'll look at a demo of this as well, is our functionality of being able to request kind of multiple payments from the customer search dashboard and a few other places within the software. So we'll look through some of those updates as well. That's something that we heard a lot of feedback about, folks wanting to be able to do on the server side. As you saw, kind of the mobile view had that kind of workflow already built in where you're able to request multiple payments, multiple invoices within a single request. And then we got things like the AR X days overdue app within the app library. So this is an in-app, and that's probably one of our most popular apps. I would say about a third, a little over a third of our Paylink customers are using this app. And it allows you to basically send an automated link to a customer for any invoices that are overdue based on kind of that variable X that you're putting in. So be that 5 days, once an invoice is 5 days overdue, based on the kind of schedule that you run the app on, we'll send out a link to them and say, hey, your invoice is 5 days overdue, 10 days overdue, whatever it might be, and have them, have a link to go ahead and pay that. See a lot of success there. I'm getting like old AR closed. I'm talking AR that's sometimes even over a year old. Once you give people a link to pay, they go ahead and pay it a lot of times, right? All right, so enough chattering and looking at screenshots. We're going to jump into some of the actual alerts and some of the dashboards as well. So let's jump into that real quick. Close out some of these other tabs. And so first, I do want to start on the alert library. So the alert library is, once again, this kind of one-stop shop for alerts. Searching within the alert library, something simple as Paylink, right? You can actually see all of these alerts that we have published for Paylink. And it's kind of scrolling through them. There's a little bit of like a description of what the alert is, what it does, and then you're able to kind of manage users and add them to the alerts as well, be that through e-chat, email, or like a text message. So we've got lots of different options here. I'm not going to go through every single one of them because that's a whole webinar in and of itself, really. But just wanting you to kind of see, just searching that alert library in your search bar, or going to like the alerts dashboard. There's a link there as well to get to the alert library and kind of search and see all of the alerts that Paylink has available. And you can even see here, kind of come from a quick glance, who's signed up for them, right? So some of these like auto send payment, Paylink payment request, we kind of put the alert automatically sends this, right? This isn't something somebody has to manage. We're just automatically adding users when they pay with Paylink to the alert. So it's not something somebody has to go in there and manually manage as an example. All right, so oops, I was a little quick on my searching. I want to search here for the Paylink dashboards now for us to go over to. So pretty easy to search here just for Paylink. You see all these different options start to kind of pop up. If you just click on this first option, that's Paylink, that takes you to kind of the home hub, if you will, for all of our dashboards. So the first dashboard obviously being that Paylink onboarding and settings dashboard. So once this kind of loads up on my test site, you'll see kind of what companies are set up with Paylink. If you have maybe some companies that you're kind of in the process of setting up on Paylink, you can come back to this dashboard and kind of continue that application and finish out and set up that company. You can manage things like your bank account on here. So this is a pretty common question we get. We'll get a support ticket that says, hey, we got a new bank account that we want to change, where our Paylink deposits are going to. You don't have to put in a ticket for that. You can manage that directly here on the dashboard by adding that bank account. And then you'll see kind of the toggle between the bank accounts here as well. Kind of some 3 dots show up for you to set the default bank account that you want to set. So you're able to manage all of your bank accounts kind of in one place here. We've got things like the ability to auto send credits. So for those of you who are using automated ACH, a lot of those COD states, for instance, where you are automatically debiting after the time of delivery, you can also automatically send credits back so that they're not just sitting on your account's balances and you're waiting for those to kind of clear on their own, that you can enable credits to just auto send back to the customer the same way a debit is automatically coming out. We've got things around payment invoice timing. So things of when your actual payment invoices get created. Really, this impacts, once again, those automated ACH customers more so, because for those of you using push pay or having your retailers, initiate those payments, we're creating those at the time they do that. But this allows you to kind of pick when you want your payments to get created, be that when the money gets deposited in your bank account, or be that when we send that deposit to the bank account the previous day. So kind of some timing here as well. And the last thing I'll call out, which is an update we did last year as well, is your statement descriptor. So this is something that's very important, because this is how your customers kind of see your paylink transactions in their bank account, for one. So we've got a nice little descriptor or a hover icon where you can see what the meaning of what bank statement descriptor is. And this is also where anytime we're sending out those emails where we're saying, so-and-so distributing is requesting payment, the so-and-so comes from here, comes from that statement descriptor. So what we've tried to do with this is, one, give some visibility to you all so you know what your statement descriptor is. It is something that is set up at the time of onboarding to paylink. It is something you kind of can change based on your business name as well. And then it is something that, like I said, is very important and needs to be set so that your customers are understanding who is debiting them, right? When you're debiting them from their accounts or maybe sending credits back. And it is something that if you need help changing, maybe you're changing your DBA, changing over to a new company, mergers, acquisitions, all that fun stuff. It is something that our support team can help you change on the back end, just because there are some rules and kind of regulations around it too. Like I can't come in here and name one of these Andrew Distributing because that has nothing to do with the business, the legal business name or entity. So it is something that we would flag and kind of say like that looks a little sketchy. You can't actually use that. So we make sure our team is able to kind of set that on the back end on our side. But you can kind of request to change this value with this link here by putting in that support ticket through the support portal. Last thing I'll talk about real quick here before we switch over to the next dashboard is a little bit around just information on paylink in general. So if you're one of those customers who hasn't gotten started or set up paylink, you can see a little bit of information here on how to get started, what information is going to be needed when you sign up as well.
And
All right. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, I was about to say, give you a little break here as well. We did have a question that came in, and there was another question regarding some retailer perspective. I will say we're going to get to that here in just a little bit, so hold tight with that question. I just wanted to call that one out. But another question that we got, if you could just briefly kind of explain how fees are reconciled with the invoices in bank. Are they kind of taken out at that time, or is it billed at the end of the month type of thing?
Mm. Yeah, very nice, Alex. It's almost like you're setting me up, buddy. I promise folks, I'm not paying him for this. So on this dashboard, Alex, the paylink deposit reconciliation dashboard, this is where you can actually see some of that information on your fees, and I'll show you how we can reconcile those as well. So with paylink, does behave a little differently for some other payment providers you've probably seen in the space, where we are taking the fees that are being charged for payment, be that ACH fees that you're paying, or if you're in a place where your company is paying the card fee, the card processing fee as well, we are taking those out at the time of the deposit. So when the money goes into the bank. So you might collect, in this instance, the example deposit I've got here, we collected, $4,298.15. That's how much AR we collected from customers. So customers are fully paying their invoices. They're paying the full amount that they owe, but we deposited to your bank account in this case $4,251.50, which causes this adjustment that you see here on the right-hand side for $46.65, which are the fees that paylink is charging you. So I can actually click on this deposit and drill into those fees and be able to see what exactly I was charged and why, if you will. So within a deposit, right, we're seeing things like the amount that was paid, of course, and deposited into the bank account, what date we expect it was deposited on. So this should always match the day in the bank that the money came into your account. How many payments make up this kind of lump in this deposit, and how many invoices got paid, right? So you might have customers who are paying multiple invoices, or maybe they took a credit as well. And you're able to see that within the kind of at a glance here at the top. Additionally, you can see then each customer and the payment that they made. And then if you click on this kind of drop down, you can see each of the invoices listed out that they paid as well, with some quick links to get over to those also. So a lot of times you might have a customer calling in, like BL Liquor here, for instance, might call and say, well, hey, I have a few different transactions, right? What are these amount to? What are the different invoices, right, that I paid? You can pull up that deposit for the day. You can search also by customer if you've got a lot of invoices paid for the day. For instance, six is a pretty small one. And you can search and see like, oh, here's, an invoice that was paid for $506.25. Here's the invoice number, right? All that good stuff. And you can also direct them to DSD link we're going to talk about here in a little bit to look into this info themselves too. The other piece that I'll talk about real quick here is this deposit breakdown. So this is a little bit of that question, Alex, that had been asked around, what was collected, what were the fees and the adjustments that got charged, and what did actually get deposited to the bank. If you click on this detailed breakdown, you're actually able to see kind of the details of this is the amount of debits that you had that came out. Maybe you had some return payments. As you can see here, you had a payment get returned. Might have been one of those insufficient funds or like not authorized, return payments. What are the fees that got charged for those ACH transactions? Any refunded fees. So when a payment gets returned, we actually refund you the initial fee we had charged you, that 55 cents. And then if you got any sort of return payment fees, right, that charged for insufficient fund payments, those types of things that obviously you can pass along to customers if you'd like. So this gives you a nice little breakdown at the deposit level of all those different pieces that make up your deposit.
And so with this dashboard, real quick, Andrew, will it kind of show when deposits are made at different banks for that same company?
It will. That's a great question. Yeah. If I kind of back out here, a couple things. One, there's a drop down here where you can see your different paylink accounts set up, and you can kind of toggle over to each of those to see the deposits. Over here on the left-hand side, we also do show those deposits that got sent from Stripe, and you'll see kind of the bank account and the last four of that account as well, which is the actual account that we sent on December 24th. We sent some money that got deposited, probably in this case on the 26th, since the 25th was a holiday, what actually got deposited there and when, type of thing. Cool. All right. So with that, I'm going to flip back over and we're going to look at a quick example around the customer search dashboard. So this is an update we actually just released in December. So a lot of you, this might be new. It is actually in the release notes for 24/12. But we were able to put in this quick update around customer search, where when I'm pulling up an account, you're able to see this request payment with paylink button here in the AR summary widget. And when I click on that, it's going to open up all of the invoices that are open, have an open balance for that customer. It'll show you the terms that are associated to that invoice, and you can check mark these to then request payment all at once. One big note that I will make here, this is functionality that is on server side only and not on mobile, is if one of these invoices is not set up with a term that is eligible to be paid with paylink, we do give you the option to flip over that term kind of in line with requesting the payment. So you don't have to go to the invoice, change the term, and then go back and request payment. So this net 14 days, for instance, term doesn't have any paylink payment types. So the system is telling you, hey, this invoice is you need to have a term for paylink to send a paylink payment request. What would you like to change the term to? And then from clicking on this drop down, I can see, oh, here's my paylink push 14-day term, which the other invoices are, as you can see. And then by selecting that and then clicking text request or email request, we'll change that term kind of dynamically right then and there for you to be able to request payment for both of these invoices at the same time. So that's kind of a workflow, like I said, we designed and updated last year. This is the same view that you get when you're requesting payment on a single invoice as well. So if I viewed one of these invoices and I was viewing it on the invoice view screen and I click send payment request or request paylink payment, excuse me, I'll see this pop up as well. The only difference is whatever invoice you're coming from or you're hitting the button from will be automatically checked. So then you can go in and check any other invoices you want to additionally request payment for. Cool. Quick little update there. Very exciting feature there. So a lot of you everyone should be up on 24/12 by now. Now it's January. So check that out if you haven't yet. and make sure your teams are kind of aware when they're taking those calls from customers who need a link to pay, that they can do that from customer search. Awesome. All right, let's get into the customer slash retailer experience. There any other questions kind of on that piece, Alex, before we shift over?
Yeah, we did have a few quick questions come in. The first one is if just explaining if the transaction fees are then journal entered for kind of when the bank reconciliation is done and is like everything automatically matched.
Yep. Yeah, good question. We do have some on the paylink onboarding dashboard. We do have some documentation around this as well. So just want to call that out. It's in our FAQ document. And there's some release notes also linked in the paylink onboarding and settings dashboard too for this. So it's just pieces for you to go back and reference. But when we set you up on paylink, we make sure to kind of set up your account mapping so that we have basically what account in the journal in your general accounting system does the money go into, the bank account, right? And then we also set up what we would call a deposit adjustment or a deposit error account, where that adjustment for the fees will get booked to. So a lot of times when you're setting those up for kind of your general deposits for like EDI or cash or checks, you'll have like a driver, like AR write-off or like a difference account there. What we usually recommend is to use an expense account. And in some cases, you might want to create a new and separate expense account, something like paylink fees expense account, where we're doing those adjustments and those journal entries. So you'll see kind of what was deposited into the bank, right? The credit to the bank. And then you'll also see that credit to the expense account. And forgive me if I got mixed up my accounting there a little bit. Yeah, I'm not an accountant by day, just by night. That adjustment and the journal entry does get created at the time that we're creating the deposit and when you're running end of day.
Awesome. And then the other one, real quickly, is kind of when they're setting up alerts and there's those links that are sent with the invoice. Is there a way to send a PDF attachment instead of a link? I know there's some security issues around just those links. So I just kind of see if you had any opinions on that.
Yeah. So there are security issues there, unfortunately, and that's that coming from our kind of email provider through AWS. So the link that you're actually clicking on to pay has to be a link. Obviously, we won't put a PDF there, but that does come with kind of that linked PDF to open directly there. We're not able to send kind of attached PDFs. And that is something of a security piece on our side and in our infrastructure. And that's not necessarily Paylink specific. That's kind of all site wide within your database. We're always using those PDF links as opposed to doing attachments. And that's kind of for that malicious and spam piece too, so that we're not getting flagged as sending out. We send hundreds of thousands of emails every day out of the databases, right? So if those all had attachments, those could get flagged as spam that's being sent out of our system, which obviously we're not sending spam, right? So good question there. Something that at a system level is kind of controlled. But within, like I said, the dashboard for the one-time payment, we've got a quick link to get the PDF and then segue perfectly into the next section here around the retail experience also. Any other questions, Alex, before I jump into retailer side?
Nope, we're all good right now. That other question is just kind of revolving around retailers. So happy to get
Awesome.
in that.
Okay, cool. So really what we really tried to push over the last few years on the retailer and customer experience side is this flexibility of payment options that you're not getting or not able to offer your customers with other payment systems, right? Paylink allows for things like the tap to pay option, as well as being able to pay through Apple Pay and Google Pay. This is a big update we did last year, to go in and allow folks, if you're paying on an iPhone, for instance, or if I'm paying from Chrome, on the server side. Spoiler alert, you'll see that here in a moment. You're able to pay with Apple Pay or Google Pay wallets. So things that kind of in our daily lives we might be using when I go to the grocery store and check out, right? Tapping my phone on the terminal to pay with Google Pay, for instance. We've built that directly into Encompass within, like I said, Encompass Mobile on Tap to Pay, and then also on DSD Link on the app and on the desktop, where they're able to access kind of those mobile wallets you'll see in a second. Scan to pay obviously is another thing we released, not last year, but previously, where those QR codes are kind of in all those different places for folks to scan, and then the links to pay, right? Being able to send those one-time payment links. And a lot of times, even folks, with the updates we did on the customer search dashboard, if you're in a COD state and you're taking automated payments, for instance, on your beer, your alcohol invoices, you can still set up your NA folks to get that pay by link as well. A lot of times we find that folks are trying to pay those NA invoices with like a check still, because they don't necessarily know there's an electronic payment option, right? Or they might not want to sign up for a recurring automated debit like they have to with their alcohol invoices. So that pay by link can be set up on just those NA or those kind of non-alcohol products, right? And you're able to send those links automatically or send them from customer search when someone calls in and says, hey, I know I'm overdue on my soda invoice. Can you have a rep come out and pick up a check? Or can I mail you a check type of thing? You say, nope, I'll shoot you a quick link where you can actually put in your bank account and pay electronically, right? It is 2025, right? So the retailer experience, we're not going to go through every single one of these bullet points. I am calling things out like the updates we did around, the new distributors you can pay or vendors you can pay within the payments dashboard. So that is something we added as well, where as soon as you sign up for paylink, if you've got folks who are already connected with maybe another distributor that they're paying with paylink, you get a nice little flag next to your name that's like new distributor that can be paid. And that stays there until they actually make that first payment to you. So kind of an easy way for retailers to see that you're now set up with paylink and you can actually be paid through the same interface they might be paying others as well. So we'll jump into this a little more and kind of walk through the experience because I think it's a little more fun than looking at a slide. The other piece I want to talk about real quick, we put a lot of emphasis around on retailers is the onboarding process and be able to kind of track those metrics of how well you're doing. So we did release a KPI dashboard last year, the paylink performance dashboard. It is on DSD Link. So that is something you would log into a separate site from your normal ECP site, dsdlink.com. We'd help you set up kind of an IT contact type of role there where you can go in and get those statistics on how you're doing with paylink. You can see kind of trends over time on dollar volume or the types of payments that folks are paying with. We've also got kind of a handy dandy little report that shows customers who maybe haven't paid with paylink within the last 6 months. Sometimes you have a customer kind of try it out one time, right? Because maybe they're desperate. Once again, they need to get their order for the week, but then they don't come back. So you're able to kind of get that report and even export it out of DSD Link to either talk with your reps or talk with your office staff and say, hey, we should kind of talk to these retailers again and see if we can get them back paying electronically. So the KPI dashboard is one to check out. Once again, it's called Paylink Performance. We've also got a resource dashboard that's on your ECP site, DSD Link and Paylink resources. So this is something that really helps folks if you need kind of the one-pagers on things like signing up for DSD Link ordering or signing up for DSD Link and Paylink together. We've got a skills kickstart that's coming out later this year too, kind of the spoiler there that kind of helps you get started with DSD Link on the ordering side as well. So we'll talk a little bit about kind of DSD Link ordering and Paylink payments together there, but we've also got that kind of resource library if you need those one-pagers. If you want to add kind of those links to your own, maybe your own website, that's not your Encompass website, but your kind of, customer-facing website that's out there. We've got some of that information and some logoing and stuff that you can put there as well. Email campaigns are another thing we did last year a lot as well. And our marketing team is really great about doing these and setting them up if you're wanting to either set up Paylink and DSD Link for the first time, or maybe wanting to kind of do like a revamp for 2025, right? And get more and more folks signed up. They can help you kind of get those targeted lists of customers. We can use the KPI dashboard. We can use other reports to kind of get you a targeted list and then send out those kind of mass emails to get folks signed up and using the system. And then the last thing is like those automated invites. We've added last year an option to actually invite AR account users to Paylink. So this is something where you might have a buyer who is paying for 3 different liquor stores, for instance, right? And so if you're inviting them from an AR account, we'll link them up to all 3 of their stores and they can pay them all in one all at the same time from inviting them from the AR account users table. So from an AR account, you use subtables AR account users, you can send those invites, or you can go to the AR account users table directly, and you can click invite to Paylink up on the top as well. So that's another update we did. All right, and with that, I'm going to shift over to some payments and show you kind of the retailer experience, if you will, through our test database. Excuse me. All right, so we got about 10 minutes left here, so I'll kind of go through this pretty quickly so we have some time to answer some questions as well. But this is the payments dashboard on DSD Link, right? So within DST Link, it kind of shows up on that left-hand menu. You see, I've got a whole lot more options than other folks, right? Because I'm on my test account. But your retailers will see that as an option just called payments. They can go in and kind of do multiple selections, right? If they've got, once again, those multiple stores, they can select those different stores all at the same time and see invoices from all of their stores all at once. And then once again, they can select actually multiple distributors even and pay multiple distributors all at once. We'll kind of split the payment on our side too. So that's another kind of advantage here, right? Within the dashboard, we're kind of showing them very high level information. What's the total open balance? What's the total credits maybe available on their account, right? And then really the guts and the goal of this page is for them to make a payment and be able to do that kind of quickly and easily. So we're showing them information on the invoices that are available to be paid, be that invoices in this case that are past due and probably should have been paid a while ago, or invoices that they had a credit on that they can take a credit and apply it to their accounts. So they can go in and obviously pay all of their open invoices, which would, we'd all love if they do that, I'm sure, or kind of like manually select invoices to pay as well. And we'll total up, the total of those invoices and what amounts are due type of thing as they click through them. Once they've kind of selected and decided what they want to pay, obviously click on that button. They can also click on an individual invoice to bring up kind of our payment modal. And so this little window pops up with any of their saved payment methods first and foremost. So be that a card that they've saved or a bank account they've saved, or they can go in and kind of pay with a new method. So if they haven't paid before, this will be the option that comes up. We'll have them fill in obviously their name, their address, all that good stuff, and then select kind of how they want to pay. So be that with a card, be that with their bank account. So right here, you're seeing kind of some test information, but you can kind of imagine, different institutions showing here, Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America, all of those where they can actually log into their bank account directly and link that account to paylink so that they're not having to go in and manually type that information in. I don't know about you, but I don't know what my bank account number is or my routing number. I have to log into my account every time to look that up. And so they're going to do that anyway. So we have an option for them to do that in product. So they're not having to go to a separate tab and then copy paste or type things in. There is obviously still the option for them to manually enter the details as well. And that is here at the bottom. It is also within each of these kind of options. They can kind of opt out and do that as well. And then the last big one, Google Pay. In this case, Google Pay is showing for me if I'm using like the Safari browser on a Mac, for instance, I might have Apple Pay as an option, or if I'm on my iPhone on the app, I'll have that option as well. Same thing with like the Android app. We'll have Google Pay as an option for them to use as well, and just kind of securely pick which card they want to pay with from their mobile wallet. So really excited to see that out there. I think that's something that maybe folks don't always think about or haven't maybe seen. So, just happy to put that in and have some of those options that we're, like I said, using in our everyday lives anyway. Other things that we can do within this dashboard as a retailer, we can see kind of our payment history, which is going to be history of payments through paylink, right? So they're not necessarily going to see their invoice history here, but just the payments that they made on paylink, which invoices got paid. They can kind of print off PDF copies of those receipts or email them to external sources, like say they need to email them to their bookkeeper, their accountant. They can share those out to those sources. They can also see their historical invoices. So this is another big, I think, pull and drive for paylink and DSD Link, where it's not necessarily about payments. It's about that self-service for your accounts. How many times is an account calling in and you've got kind of the habitual ones that call in every single week and say, I'm so sorry, I lost the invoice, the hard copy, the 4-inch paper, right? My dog ate it, whatever happened. Could you send me a copy of last week's invoice, right? And my favorite response to that is, I can send you a link to actually get set up with our e-commerce offering, DSD Link, and you can get all of your invoices there. So they're able to come in and see, do some filtering. There is filters here for due dates and delivery dates and different product groups for them to search for what they need. They can go all the way back to, we're showing kind of the 2024 invoices here, but they can go back to 2023, 2020 if they need to, right? With the filtering and grab invoices from there. So they're able to kind of download those in Excel format. And they're also able to kind of check off a couple of them, like I said here, and just get a printed PDF copy. So they're able to kind of get all of their invoices in one place. And here's my historical copies of those invoices right here, right now, right? So this is another big play kind of for your teams too. If you're having trouble kind of getting them to want to sign folks up for DSD Link and using Paylink, that's just an administrative burden that we can take off of teams by having this set up, right? So that's it for kind of the DSD Link and the retailer side for now. Wanted to kind of give everyone a quick overview there. So with that, I'll kind of go into the kind of the key takeaways and leave a couple of minutes here at the end for questions as well. So, key takeaways and what I really want you guys folks to know about the features we put in. They're features to enable your sales and delivery teams to collect payments, right? Utilizing Paylink tools and kind of the automation, the pieces that we put together will make your life easier. That's the goal of what we've tried to do over the last few years. Enabling your teams internally is key to success, as well as enabling kind of your retailers and your partners to be able to sign up. So be that using kind of our email campaign offering, putting in a support ticket to kind of ask to get that set up, or be that kind of using those one pagers and those resources we put together to kind of get your teams educated, including your retail partners, educating them on e-commerce, right, is always a big goal, but we're here to assist with that. We want to help you be successful. Obviously, your success is our success. So getting retailers signed up and making sure that there's kind of this most seamless process with using those invites or using those campaigns, right, and kind of using the resources we've got out there. So with that, hopefully you enjoyed it. I haven't lost my voice quite yet, so I can take some questions still.
Awesome. Yeah, and thank you again, Andrew, for presenting today. We will give it a minute or two to see if any questions trickle in, give kind of Andrew a moment to take a breath. With that, I will kind of announce some announcements for you guys. This session will be recorded and it will be uploaded in the recording archive. So if you want to go rewatch it or you had any additional questions that didn't get answered, you can go rewatch it there. As we did mention, this is the first Skills Kickstart of the season. So go back to that e-learning dashboard, take a look what's upcoming. We are actively posting more and more, so keep that in mind. As Andrew mentioned, there is going to be another session for DSD Link and kind of understanding it from a retailer's perspective, how they're able to see it all. So I will be the one presenting that one here in March. So if you're interested in that or kind of seeing what it looks like from their side or how to troubleshoot, go ahead and sign up for that one as well. Again, this will be in the recording archive, and if you do have any questions, never hesitate to reach out to us, look over help resources, or message Bev. And with that, I'll see if there's any questions coming in. And I'm not seeing any right off the rip. So with that, thank you all for attending, and thank you, Andrew, for presenting today. And I hope you guys have a great week and great rest of your year.
Well, thanks everyone. Appreciate everyone's time. Take care. Happy New Year.
Thanks. Bye.